Well, hey, handy people, Dan here. Hey, it's bitter cold in Michigan. Last night, driving home from a basketball game, is 1 degree was showing on the dash of the Volvo. Cold. So my son, his car, that T5 automatic, that 98, has been running a bit on the cool side. It's just not heating up well. It takes him a long ways, a long drive before it heats up. So that tells me the thermostat is bad and it probably needs changing. So I'm about to do that. It's a pretty straightforward job if you can get those Torx bolts out. Now, I'll show you how. Come on. Well, with the magic of a smoke wrench, aka an acetylene torch, I was able to heat up the 2 Torx bolts that hold this down. Now bear in mind, Torx bolts are funny critters because this here in their T40s, they tend to strip out when you're using this tool. So I find if I apply heat to 2 spots, and you can see I've got the thermostat exposed. I try to get this tab because that's where the threads are, and I try to get the back tab. Now the danger from the back tab is getting in there, and I'll get a light in there, is we're right next to the fuel rail, and we're right next to an injector. See if I can get the light in there and show you. You can see the tab. Let's see, there's the tab where it screws into down there in the corner, and then right next to it, right here, is an injector. So you can see the relationship of the two. But yeah, there's the injector. Like it's kind of like I can't get a good video of it, but there's the injector. There's the tab. There's a better angle. I did heat it. I was able to manipulate the torch in through this area and aim it away at that very lower point. And I know it's dim, but you can kind of see it. Down here where that bolt was, I try to get that aluminum housing and heat it up a little bit. And I ran it as much as I dare, and to get in there and get this thing apart, I had to take these 2 bolts out, which hold the fuel rail in place. I also took this back clamp off, okay? And then I levered this whole unit down here on the intake manifold. I just kind of fished a larger screwdriver, and I just kind of moved it, just ever so slightly. And that allowed me to get this out, the thermostat housing. After the heat and using this extension and a breaker wrench, this extends I think to 18 inches or to 13.5 inches. Anyways, using that, I was able to pop those bolts loose, those Torx bolts. But when I go to replace them, let me show you what I'm going to use. So here's the Torx bolts. And you can see they have, that one's got corrosion on it. And that's what you're fighting when you go to remove those, because that's about all the threads you're going to get in, because there's quite a thick top. If you look at how these sit, I'll put one back in so you can see it. You can see there's just that amount that goes into the aluminum housing. So that's what you want to heat. I try to heat the top of the bolt and also the aluminum housing where they screw into down here. And so that length of that is just about what that corrosion is. Okay, so I know folks have told me they use anti-seize and they put these back in. Well, I'm going to go one more step, and this is a step a good mechanic friend of mine shared with me. My mechanic friend shared, find a socket head bolt, same length, same thread, and yeah, this has a shoulder on it, but it doesn't matter because I'll compare these two. Here's a pretty good comparison. You could see where the corrosion is, and that's where the threads need to be, so there's plenty of threads on these replacement bolts. I'll clean these up before I put them in because they got a little corrosion on the heads, and then yeah, we'll reassemble using this bolt, 2 of these. All right, so what we have for this T5M is a original OEM Volvo thermostat, and I highly recommend. These are the only ones to use. They're high quality. They're made by Waller from Germany, and this is a beauty. It's a 90 degree, and that's the temperature opening temp. So comes with a gasket, nice rubber gasket that goes around the lip, and that's what forms the seal between the thermostat housing and the rest, and the block. So to get it in here, it slides in and just sits like that. And then this part is a little trickier. I have to get a big screwdriver, and I slip in here so I can move the fuel rail, which I've got unbolted, out of the way slightly. Don't need a lot, but I need enough to get that down in there. Now here comes the best part, and that is we're using bolts instead of the torque screws that were originally on there. Well, here's just a quickie comparing OEM to aftermarket. This is an aftermarket thermostat. Now, it didn't fail, it was working, but you know, you look at it and it's kind of, I mean, it works. I can compress a spring. It's stiff, but you know, it's rated. It says 92. Where does it say it? Maybe it's on here. It's on the bottom here. 92 degrees centigrade. I don't know if you can see that, but then, you know, a lot of people say, man, you can save, you know, $8 or whatever. And then you get this guy, and this, you know, is obviously it's a blue box part. This was bought from FCP. And check this out. I mean, this top frame, if you just compare the two, look at how wide the top frame is alone on this. I mean, they're exactly the right dimension and everything, but even the gasket is more robust on the OEM part. And the quality, you can just see it. It's better, a lot better. And it's got the Volvo logo. I'm telling you folks, certain things you can waste, you can try to save a penny and waste $1. And I'm thrifty, trust me. But let me tell you, this is the piece to put in when you're putting in a thermostat on a P80 Volvo, and probably for any Volvo for that matter. So hey, thanks for watching. I hope this helps. Yeah, quality does matter, and our cars were quality cars to begin with, and if we keep going, keep working on them, they'll continue to be.